Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
This is exactly what the president wanted. Big pieces of military hardware right in the middle of this area that will be absolutely flooded with tourists for the holiday. Take a look at how they brought these things in last night. There are more coming in later today. These are actually Bradley fighting vehicles. They're armored personnel carriers. Allegedly, there will be some actual Abrams tanks brought in as well. That is the big question, though. Who's going to pay for all of this? What budget is this coming out of? And while the president says this is a celebration of America, many of his critics are saying, no, this is a celebration of himself.
He's a jackass.
He is a jackass. There is no question. So hot dogs and apple pie have now become military hardware time. I don't know. It's almost the 4th of July, and Trump has promised you some brand new Sherman tanks, which we stopped making in 1957. Do you think that he thinks that Sherman tanks were named after Bobby Sherman? Sherman Hemsley? I mean, he's such an idiot. This is going to be the most garish, tacky, disgraceful 4th of July ever. It's just, I mean, why doesn't he just take the the gold leaf, the gaudy, the Rush Limbaugh, gold leaf. What is with dictators and gold? Gold chairs, gold leaf. What is with them? They all just, it's like, I don't know. But, I don't know what's going to happen. Ideally, the Statue of Liberty, the Lincoln Memorial, Lincoln would, come to life, walk down the steps, and publicly berate Donald Trump. But we don't live in a perfect world. We live in Trump land, Trumplandia. We live in Trump world. So that means Fox News is planning a 2-hour special built around Donald Trump. Well, I mean, 24/7 Fox News is Donald Trump, So here we are, trying to celebrate independence. Did you ever read the Declaration? Did you ever read it? I put it in the homework today. I put the actual, it's the first link in the homework. If you are signed up for the homework, it's free. We just give it to you every single day so that, everything that we say on this show, we rely on, journalism, real, solid, fact-checked journalism in order to compile this show, give you the facts, and then opine about them. That is the purpose. That is what we do, right? And so there's a homework section, and it's free. You just go to randirhodes.com and you click on homework. And in the homework today, the very first link is the Declaration of Independence. And it's gripping. It's really gripping. If anybody ever wondered why we, declared, that we wanted to be independent, because independence, baby, is everything. It's everything. And this country, I swear to God, has turned into the cult of King George III. That is what Donald Trump is. And the reason why we have a 4th of July, the reason why we have a stone engraving of the Declaration of Independence, the reason why this document is on display at the rotunda of the National Archives Museum, the reason why we have a national holiday on the 4th of July each and every year is because of this declaration and what it says. And the reason why we decided that we would pull away from a despot. We would pull away from a king, and we would become a nation that was independent, that did not suffer despots, that did not suffer a destructive leader, that didn't serve the people, that wasn't a government of the people, by the people, for the people, that was an absolute tyranny over the people. That's what the Declaration is all about, and how patient and how suffering the colonies had been, and that they had tried to be polite, and they had tried to address the king, and they had tried to tell them of all the things that he has done to not accommodate the people, to not hear the people or see the people or understand the people, and that he was a tyrant, and that what he had established here was absolute tyranny, and that the things. So we decided that we would create our own system of government, which this president is destroying and is using to enhance his own PR. I mean, what is that? That is a cult of personality. That is exactly the thing that was in the Declaration that we were going to rebel against. It is so clear. And, there's this whole big, thing now, because there were only 13 colonies, when this thing was written. So now Nike thought, oh, won't it be fun if we release a Betsy Ross flag Nike collectible? Now, I don't know much about sneaker culture, but I don't think you want, Ted Cruz being your spokesmodel. But the Betsy Ross sneaker got pushback from Colin Kaepernick because Colin Kaepernick tried to warn Nike and told Nike that it harkens back to a time of slavery, which clearly it does, that it is something that has been reappropriated by these patriot movements, by these white supremacist movements, just like the Don't Tread on Me flag, just like the Confederate flag. The flag of the 13 colonies has also been reappropriated by these patriot movements, these, Timothy McVeigh, offshoots and the white supremacists and all those people. And so he was trying to warn Nike that if they created this shoe, and had him as a spokesperson, probably wouldn't be a great thing. And sure as anything, they made the shoe, which is now going to be worth thousands of dollars because it's now a rare collectible. But Kaepernick told them that if you make this shoe, it's going to become the footwear, the chosen footwear of the khaki-wearing, polo shirt-wearing, tiki torch holding, Jews will not replace us crowd. And that will be their shoe. That will be their footwear. So Nike pulled the shoe. That's what happened. And then all of a sudden, you have a flashpoint controversy tailor-made for Trump's divisive brand of rhetoric, okay? Mitch McConnell, he said he would be the first to buy the Betsy Ross sneakers. Hello, I rest my case. Again, Scott is a sneakerhead, okay? Scotty, our executive producer, is a sneakerhead. I'm not that familiar with sneaker culture the way he is familiar, but I don't think Mitch McConnell is the best brand ambassador for sneaker culture. You? Are you down with that? Yeah. He wants to be the first to buy the Betsy Ross sneaker. And Trump is probably, and Ted Cruz is tweeting about it, and he wants the sneaker. Oh, now Nike can't make flags. They can't. No, it's not that. It's okay. It's that the white supremacists have co-opted many, many things having to do with early American culture, early American flags, because they are trying to send a message that this country was founded for white people by white people, and that has tainted a lot of our historical meaning. I mean, I used to love the story of Betsy Ross. I loved that she sat there and made a flag. I loved it. Well, you can't anymore because it has fallen into unworthy hands. It has fallen into the hands of people who want to co-opt our although I will say, just so you know, in the Declaration of Independence, there's some really, really bad language about Indians, about Native Americans. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. So you can see how the white supremacists would latch onto it, yeah, and try and make it, about them. Yeah. But this is where we are, and, it's almost the 4th of July. We're going to, just read the Declaration, and then try to imagine Trump writing something like that in his all-cap tweets.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, The Randi Rhodes Show.
It costs $10,000 an hour to fly a single Blue Angels jet. There are 6 in the formation, but the team travels with 2 additional jets, bringing us to 8, and a C-130, referred to commonly as Fat Albert. The F-35 fighter jet costs $30,000 an hour to operate, just in terms of fuel, and a plane that's used for Air Force One's fleet costs $140,000 an hour.
The president originally wanted tanks and other military vehicles to parade through Washington, but that didn't work out.
The military has shipped in some modern tanks. These are Abrams. There are also Bradley fighting vehicles, which are a different form of armored tactical vehicles. We have roughly 300 members of the military that will be performing as part of the show that accompanies President Trump's speech. All of those folks will also, of course, be paid in overtime. So as a result, what we're looking at this point is a military demonstration on land and in the air that could possibly run into the millions of dollars.
All for the dear leader. This is so twisted. This is so bizarre and twisted. I can't even tell. And you know what? There's going to be so many demonstrations down there. This is supposed to be a relaxing time for national unity. That's what the 4th of July is. And if you're really good, you'll read the Declaration of Independence because it's awesome. I mean, it never gets old. It's just a beautiful piece of independence. It's just a beautiful piece of literature that was written to declare we will not tolerate a dictator. We do not live in a country of a cult. We do not live with a king. We do not live with an autocrat. We do not want a country that is ruled. We want a country that is governed by us, for us. And he is taking the entire meaning of that and taking all this national unity, and he's going to pack it full of, people tearing each other apart, disunity, and protests. And you're going to have it from the left and from the right. They're going to start Thursday. There's going to be a flag burning. And then Saturday, you're going to have the right-wing lunatics out there. You're going to have the Proud Boys, the Western chauvinist Proud Boys, the almost Nazi Proud Boys. They're going to host a rally at Freedom Plaza, and they will be met by a coalition of progressive groups. And they're going to start saying that this is a nation that was built for white people by white people, and then the other side is the normal people are going to say this is no place for white supremacists. Okay, you've got an organization called All Out DC. They're organizing the counter protest. There will be 2 days of protests, and law enforcement appears to be more concerned about Saturday than any of the other days. But you know who the guest speakers for the right-wing lunatics are going to be? The ones who really do prefer an autocrat, a dictator, a tyrant, a king. The Proud Boys are bringing their founder, Gavin McInnes, and Roger Stone, who's under a gag order, who keeps on breaking the gag order, but nothing ever seems to happen to him. You're also going to have this lunatic Jacob Wall, who's also, a super white supremacist. You're going to have anti-Muslim freak Laura Loomer, who's been banned from Twitter. You're going to have Milo Yiannopoulos, who's also been banned from Twitter. The guy who invented Pizzagate, Jack Posobiec. I mean, you're going to have 20 groups of white supremacists out there, and you're going to have Black Lives Matter. You're going to have Sanctuary DMV, which is a pro-immigrant organization. You're going to have an anti-gentrification group out there, Keep DC for Me. You're going to have all because this man has to have, something that reassures him that, his tea is not low. All because we have a 70-something-year-old white guy who's really orange. I mean, I don't even know who can't get it where he wants it anymore, and so he's got to prove something about his prowess. I don't know. Now, MSNBC is not carrying any of the Trump event live, and Fox News has built a 2-hour special around this, and I promise you, they will not mention the Declaration of Independence. This man is literally destroying this country. He truly is, one tweet at a time. If he had written the Declaration of Independence, it would be A, in all caps, B, it would all be misspelled, and C, he would have been tweeting about Bette Midler and forgotten all about King George. Do you know? I mean, it's just so unbelievable. Under his leadership, there will be a VIP section open to big donors, taking up like a whole third of the Lincoln Memorial. It's tempting to think we would have been better off under the British at this point. But then we would have Boris Johnson doing the same damn thing in front of the Lincoln Memorial with a British accent, which is weird. But, I mean, he has now succeeded in I mean, look, the right wing has politicized Christmas, right? A war on Christmas. All this strong language about happy holidays being a terrible thing. Oh, it's just so terrible to be kind and to respect others and not foist your religion upon other people and just say that, you know, kindness is the reason for the season and wish everybody a happy holiday. There's a war, you know, a war on Christmas. Well, you know, there was a war on Christ when you took him from being a Middle Eastern swarthy baby and you turned him into a blue-eyed blonde kid. You know, I mean, you sort of took the whole story and, you know, molded it to your vision. But that said, now, you know, Thanksgiving, remember when they asked Trump what he was thankful for on Thanksgiving? He said he was thankful that he was the president and that he had done such a great job for the United States. So he was thankful that he had, you know, done wonderful, great, big, you know, things for the United States quickly. I mean, it's so sick. So, and now he's disrespecting the 4th of July, the Declaration of Independence. I can't even stand it. I want this over. And then, you know, I want you to celebrate the 4th of July with a grain of salt because there are people that, you know, you talk about habeas corpus or you talk about getting, you know, getting bond hearings, which is, you know, an arraignment habeas under our. These people are being held without bond hearings. You know, I mean, this is just it's so backwards. This whole country has gone totally. I mean, and he's spending all this money. But he talks such a great game about our vets, doesn't he? But when he was asked about homelessness by Tucker Carlson, we played you that off the rails, off the hook, lunatic, fringy answer. Well, we're doing things and then we're going to do the things that we were going to do and we're going to, you know, look at the things that we have done and we're going to do some more of that. And then, you know, I also have ideas for other things that I want to do on homelessness. What? You know, the fact checkers were flummoxed. That is actually a headline today. Fact checkers flummoxed. They have no idea what he's talking about with regard to homelessness. And, you know, our veterans are the biggest sufferers of homelessness. And instead of, you know, taking, you know, what is probably $92 million for his ridiculous, you know, military thing, America has never done this. America is the strongest country militarily on the planet, and so it has absolutely no need or desire to show anybody anything. But instead of taking care of vets, he's going to self-aggrandize.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
And this is nauseating, Chris, because this is not just obnoxious tackiness. This is actually dangerous because it's fundamentally un-American.
The message is a threat. I suspect that the threat is to his fellow Americans. And I hate to say that, but I think that Donald Trump styles himself a tyrant.
I think more of a sign of his just neediness and his insecurity. And there's a certain silliness about this as well as obnoxiousness.
Critics concerned the president's hijacking the holiday, putting politics over patriotism and forcing taxpayers to foot the bill.
4th of July on the National Mall has been a tribute to universal American themes. This year, by design, it will be much more about him.
For lack of a better word, it's very Soviet.
It was about bolstering himself up, looking like a dictator from another nation.
They say the same thing about just different. They say the same thing every day. Just move the topic.
Right.
They find everything that he does just so repulsive and so ridiculous and so overblown.
Shouldn't this be a bipartisan issue? We're celebrating America.
Well, in a way that we haven't done before, the president's going to make a speech. The president doesn't usually make a speech. He says it's not going to be about politics, it's going to be about the country. But some have pointed out that some VIP GOPers might be in the front row or get good seats.
He's a rapist. Does Fox News forget that this man is a child abuser, that he's a rapist, that he is a person that, is torturing children as we speak? I mean, do you understand that he spent the entire G20 with dictators and praising them?
What is it with your coziness with some of these dictators and autocrats at these summits? With Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, when you were asked about the case of Jamal Khashoggi, you did not respond to that question in front of the Saudi Crown Prince.
Anybody asked me.
Were you afraid of offending him on that subject?
No, not at all. I don't really care about offending people. I sort of thought you'd know that.
Well, you passed up an opportunity there.
And by the way, congratulations. I understand your book. Is it doing well?
It's doing very well, Mr. President.
Really?
Thank you. I'll get you an autographed copy.
Good.
If you like.
Send it. I want to see it.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Send me a copy.
Like you read.
No, I get along with everybody.
You get along with nobody.
Actually. I get along with a lot of people.
No one.
I have a tremendous relationship with President Xi. Nobody else would have the deal that we have. We're getting tens of billions of dollars from China coming in.
No, it's
a lot
American
of things are happening.
companies.
And despite that, we're moving along towards something that could be very historic. But I get along with President Putin. I get along with
but
Mohammed
he attacked us
from Saudi Arabia.
He
On the
dismembered
case
a
of
man.
Jamal Khashoggi, we have a lot of journalists in this room who object to what appears to be the Saudi government's complicity and perhaps orchestration of the assassination and dismembering of a journalist.
Yeah.
And when you were given the opportunity to call Mohammed bin Salman out on that, you did not do it. Did you do it privately? And do you agree that it is despicable for a government to kill a journalist in that fashion?
Yes, I do. I think it's horrible. Or anybody else, by the way.
Or anybody else, by the way. Except Tucker Carlson is on his TV show saying that the purpose of a leader is to kill people, right? Can't be a leader unless you kill people. This man spent the entire G20 summit worshiping at the feet of dictators, worshiping at the feet of autocrats, worshiping at the feet of murderers. Literally murderers. Putin has killed 20 journalists. Jamal Khashoggi was killed by Prince Salman, and Donald Trump told him he was doing a great job. Never, ever told him, that you don't deserve to be in a room with me. I represent a country that believes in free speech, and you murdered a Washington Post columnist. Not only did you murder him, you dismembered him. I'm not your friend. I mean, I don't even understand. And this is how he spent his freaking week. And Fox and Friends have said, oh, well, why can't everybody just be happy that he's having a military, festival of warfare for the 4th of July? Why can't everybody just be happy that he's made it about himself? Julian Castro had some really good thoughts.
When I saw that the National Park Service is dedicating $2.5 million out of money that they're supposed to spend on other things, on taking care of the parks, for things like the tanks that we saw that are going to roll down or be on the National Mall, it's so interesting. In the Obama administration, we reduced veteran homelessness by 47% between 2010 and 2016. That's what we were focused on. Taking care of our veterans who had served this country. It started to go up in the Trump administration, and instead of addressing something like veteran homelessness, he's spending it on boosting his ego with a parade that's fundamentally about him, and then getting tickets into the hands of wealthy donors for the Republican Party. What a waste of money.
It is a complete and utter waste of money, but beyond the money, it is a complete and utter disgrace that an American president would seek to elevate his PR profile by co-opting Independence Day. It's all about independence from a dictator, from a tyrant, from a king. And now he's making it about he wants to be the dictator, he wants to be the autocrat, he wants to be the king, he's going to be the demagogue. I tell you, when Pete Buttigieg was debating the other night, And he was talking about, the disgusting manner in which we conduct ourselves, especially now with the children in the cages and the abuse. It's child abuse, and they will pay. One day, that will come back, and they will pay. And by them, I mean the 9,500 Border Patrol agents who are saying, oh, well, if they die, they die. The Border Patrol agents who are turning a blind eye to babies in soily diapers, who are turning a blind eye to mothers with breast milk all over their T-shirts for weeks at a time, okay? They will pay. Their day will come. They are, this is the whirlwind, and it will whirl all the way back and pick them up and put them where they belong in those cages. I mean, it's just one of those karmic beauties that will happen. But Buttigieg said something that everybody needs to remember. Everybody.
The Republican Party likes to cloak itself in the language of religion. Now, our party doesn't talk about that as much, largely for a very good reason, which was we are committed to the separation of church and state, and we stand for people of any religion and people of no religion. But we should call out hypocrisy when we see it. And for a party that associates itself with Christianity, to say that it is okay to suggest that God would smile on the division of families at the hands of federal agents, that God would condone putting children in cages, has lost all claim to ever use religious language again.
Vice President,
For that alone, I will send, I sent a couple of bucks. Really, because that is the truth. That is the cold, hard, factual truth about these fake, faux evangelicals. Jewish people are very religious too. And we have this little saying called never again. We don't intern children. We don't separate children from their mothers or their fathers and say that is part of a great democratic experiment and then invoke God in the name of causing this kind of trauma. We don't do it. You will be judged.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right, get ready to be really, really upset. I'm serious. This is most people, have given up on this particular thing, this broadcaster. But check this out. This still goes on every single day. And people listen to it, and they think somehow it's related to reality or the truth of who we are or what we do. But this is, yeah. That's what he said. First, he mocks her with his terrible Spanish accent. Then he degrades her by saying, overlooking the fact that she went to and graduated from Boston University with a degree in economics and international studies. And then he says that people from Central America deserve to drink out of toilets because it's better than where they came from. Now, for those of you who have never been out of this country or set foot in Central America, I have to tell you that no matter how poor somebody is in Central America, their house is spotless and clean. I've only seen one dirty bathroom the whole time that I've been traveling through Central America, and it was in an American-owned restaurant owned by an absentee landlord from California who runs, this on-the-beach lousy restaurant. And his bathroom was the only dirty, disgusting bathroom I'd ever seen. And I'm talking driving through, little tiny towns and burbs and microclimates and, places way in the hinterlands. Going to a gas station to use the toilet, that gas station is so clean you could eat off the floor. He has no idea what he's talking about, but he is just a pig. Just a disgusting, racist pig who feeds a steady diet of this to his listeners, who are calling a woman who graduated from Ivanka Trump. Was she elected to anything? Well, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was. I mean, this is just such a sickness in our country, okay? It's just such a sickness. Tucker Carlson was, he was making excuses for Donald Trump Jr.'s racist tweet about Kamala Harris. Also decided, let's mispronounce everybody's name or say it in such a derogatory way that it would irritate the person. He literally defended Donald Trump Jr.'s retweet saying that Kamala Harris is not black enough. Kamala Harris is a mixed breed. Why don't you just say it that way, Tucker?
The press, meanwhile, insists on pitting black against white, Kamala Harris versus Joe Biden. But the reality, real life, is far more complicated than that. For example, this is just one of many examples, Joe Biden's strongest constituency, black voters. Kamala Harris's base, meanwhile, young, well-educated white liberals, affluent white voters. In fact, many black voters appear skeptical of Kamala Harris. One of them recently tweeted that Harris's life story doesn't bear much resemblance to that of most African Americans. Her parents were from India and Jamaica. Donald Trump Jr. retweeted that observation, and for that, CNN denounced him as a terrifying racist.
Don Jr. is facing big backlash for retweeting a racist posting questioning Kamala Harris's race.
Donald Trump Jr. retweeted a post, which is a racist lie.
This is a constant recurring theme with the president. Inferential racism, implied racism. Oh, no, I'm not a racist. I don't have a racist bone in my body, but those muscles are awful bigoted.
The strategy that, frankly, Republicans have used since the beginning of time, which is divide and conquer on race.
It is a horrible form of black racism that has now been harnessed to be a voter suppression tool.
This is an attempt to divide the black community and attack a black candidate, not on policy reasons, but on xenophobia and racism.
Pure propaganda. Did you hear that idiotic CNN reporter? It's a racist lie.
It is a racist lie. I have to tell you, this channel has got to be, it has got to be defeated. And it has to be defeated by millions and millions and millions of people. It has to be defeated by voices of reason, voices of sanity, voices of decency, voices of, facts. This is disgusting. Every single person that Tucker Carlson just played was a black person. If you want to know, Tucker, what Junior's retweet of the racism that was in that tweet meant to black people, I guess you're going to have to talk to some black people. It's just unbelievable. And this is, this entire presidential election is it's a neophyte. Okay. It just started. It's a baby. It's an infant. It's just, it's just still a bunch of cells in a petri dish. This presidential election is going to be one of the ugliest, most racist, heinous, full of lies and deep fakes and doctored videos and suppression tactics and pitting one group against another group based on falsehoods and lies and disinformation and misinformation, and you guys have to be prepared for it. We all have to be prepared. We all have to be armed and ready. Everybody needs to get their brains wrapped around certain things. People that are going to be attacked, you need to know their character, you need to know their experience, you need to know their education, you need to know what they've done. So, for instance, if somebody like Rush Limbaugh talks about, oh, well, maybe these people from Central America need to drink out of a toilet because it's a step up for them, know that people in Central America, no matter how poor they are, live in ultra clean homes. They take pride in cleanliness. They take pride in their babies, being clean and bathed and beautiful and fresh and educated and loved. It's all about family in Central America. Everything they do is about family. If they start to attack Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you must know that she is a graduate of Boston University, that she has a degree in international relations, that she is more equipped to be a diplomat than Ivanka Trump is, and that she was elected. You need to have answers for these people, and you need to have them right on the tip of your tongue and ready to go. You need to know that under Donald Trump, homelessness among veterans has gone way up again, and that under Obama, it had gone down by almost half. You need to know what the Declaration of Independence says. You need to read it. You should probably have it in your pocket to hand to somebody this weekend, because it is all about resisting an autocrat. It is all about resisting a tyrant. It is all about resisting a dictator, a king. And you need to know these things. You need to know. Because this has already gotten so gross. And not just in rhetoric, because we're used to rhetoric, I think, but in actual threats. Threats against AOC. Threats against Kamala Harris. All kinds of threats. Threats coming everywhere. Threats against journalists. Fake news accusations. Riling people up to hate the greatest newspaper that America ever had. The New York Times. Even the Wall Street Journal. The Washington Post. These are the great newspapers of our country. USA Today ain't bad either. You need to know and get ready and prepare yourself, because this is going to get super ugly.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
We came today and we saw that the system is still broken and that people's human rights are still being abused. We remain very concerned about the conditions in which people are being kept. We had a chance to visit with about 15 or 20 mothers, some of whom had been at that Border Patrol station for over 50 days. Some had been separated from their kids. In fact, one of the women said that she was told by an agent to drink water out of the toilet. These are the conditions that have been created by the Trump administration. I would also like to very quickly, before I turn it over, speak to the Facebook page that was discovered by ProPublica today. That was a vulgar, disgusting, and vile page. That shows, unfortunately, that there are many within CBP who have become desensitized to the point of being dangerous to the migrants in their care.
What we saw today was unconscionable. No child should ever be separated from their parent.
I learned a long time ago that when change happens, it's either because people see the light or they feel the fire. Today we are lifting up these stories in the hopes that you will see the light. And if you don't, we will bring the fire.
Good for you. Ayanna Pressley was amazing. Everybody that had visited one of these internment camps, detention centers, concentration camps, whatever you want to, call them, has told you that what's going on there is unconscionable, is grotesque, and is a complete perversion of our system of democracy, our system of justice. That there is very little to do with resources being the problem, and there's everything to do with racism and misogyny being the problem. There was a Border Patrol agent who decided that they would sit down and talk. We had the Inspector General's report, and this is from Trump's own Department of Homeland Security, and that Inspector General report was damning. It was completely off the hook. It talked about being on the brink. The overcrowding is insane. The people that are in there don't have a place to lie down. When we learned about torture in places like Abu Ghraib, when we learned about torture in places like Gitmo, we learned one of the methods of torture was to keep people standing all night long with the lights on, right? And that they could not lay down. They could not sleep. Well, this is happening in these detention centers, and there's photographic evidence that is so. There is photographic evidence that people are laying on top of each other, that people are forced to stand for days, if not weeks and months at a time, because there is no place to lay down. There's evidence that there's one shower for 800 people. There's evidence that cells that hold 35 are holding, hundreds of people. All of this is discoverable, as they say. All of this is in the Inspector General's report. And then you had the Democrats go into these camps, and they were told that they had to leave their telephones. They had to leave their cell phones in an office. They weren't allowed. But it's interesting because Julian Castro wore a body cam. He wore a body cam. And that's how we saw some additional photographs from Julian Castro's body cam. And now we have an interview with a CBP agent who is absolutely disgusted about the things he's seen and the Facebook page and the culture that is the Border Patrol culture, that is part of the problem that we see. And he was too much of a coward to show his face. He requested that his voice be changed, and he requested that his face be pixelated. But here he is talking about what he knows to be true.
You're taking a big risk by doing this.
Yes, what America needs to know. They need to know the truth.
A Border Patrol agent who's had enough. In a CNN exclusive interview, the veteran agent, who agreed to go on camera only if their identity was concealed, expressed disgust at a closed Facebook group reportedly comprised of thousands of current and former agents. ProPublica, the first to expose the group, I'm 1015, where members shared lewd and sexist content about Latina members of Congress, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The agent telling CNN, being derogatory is part of the Border Patrol culture, even hearing a supervisor joke about dead migrants.
He was making fun of them.
Saying what?
That what difference does it make? It's just another life. He made a comment also regarding running over illegals, and I'm like, you cannot run over people.
In describing the conditions inside the El Paso detention facilities, the agent compared them to a zoo.
A zoo.
The holding facility, the cells, they are, what I will say, filthy. We have a maintenance and cleaning crew that clean the general area, like the hallways, but I have never seen them cleaning counters or cleaning toilets in the cells or cleaning sinks in the cell. Sometimes you go in a cell and there's trash everywhere.
There are those in leadership at Customs and Border Protection.
Yes.
They say that migrants are getting basic human rights? What do you say to leaders who are saying migrants are getting basic human rights?
What is basic human rights? Toilet paper, water from the sink, wearing the same clothing for days. I remember whenever we used to be at processing center, we used to have, especially in winter, we used to have these blankets. And 10 different aliens will use the same blanket. We will recycle them. You know, we'll put them in a bag and they wouldn't get washed.
I feel like, you know, multiple times during our interview, you know, you've sort of stared off in the distance and you've thought about some things that you've seen. I mean, it seems as though there are things that you might take home with you.
Every day.
Like what?
The kids.
What about the kids?
You know, they just want hope. They want to believe in something. They want a future.
Do you support President Trump's immigration policies?
President Trump is our commander-in-chief, and unless he's unethical, illegal, or immoral, we should obey.
We should obey. Well, that did not work in Nuremberg, okay? And it's not going to work for these Border Patrol agents either. I was just obeying orders. It didn't work in Nuremberg. It ain't going to work here. This is just disgusting. And I have to tell you that there is a senior Border Patrol agent. Her name is Jen Budd. I don't know how many people read. She wrote an editorial about to her colleagues, telling them that, you know, she knows that they're under pressure and blah, 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 and that they are trying to hang on to a stable job. But she also tells them that when they obey these orders, when they are forcing desperate families to make desperate choices and choose between their children, when they are refusing to process the asylum claims, knowing that asylum is not a crime and that crossing is not a crime, and that the very act of crossing in these conditions, risking their lives on rivers and all this stuff, is demonstrably proof of credible fear. And that you guys in Border Patrol know that. And when you take them into your custody, and when they die in your custody, it is because you are enforcing these blatantly harmful policies, and you share in the responsibility for their deaths. And she wrote this amazing letter talking to them about how if they are dumping contaminated water into the holding cells, they know they're breaking the law. And that if they put asylum seekers on a bus to be shipped to a concentration camp on a military base so that they would be hidden from the public and the press, you know this isn't going to end well for you. And she's warning them and telling them, you accepted a challenge. These people are now in your custody. The public has put trust in you. And you are messing up. You are committing crimes. And you will be judged.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
So there was an open letter from an ex-senior border agent named Jen Budd, and she was interviewed yesterday on Aries' show on MSNBC. And she was asked by Michelle Goldberg, who's a writer for the newspapers, and she was asked, is this a resource problem or is this pure sadism on the part of these agents? And here's what she had to say.
So I'm curious, from what you know, is it that they're operating on a shoestring and don't have the resources to deal with this influx, or do you think it's more about kind of sadism and punishment?
You know, I would compare it to when I was an agent. We had about less than 5,000 agents for the southern border, and per year we would get an average of about 1.5 million apprehensions. Today they have roughly 19 to 20,000 agents, and this year has increased, but they are nowhere near the numbers that we used to have. So with 4 times the amount of agents, they seem to be able to do a lot less than what we had to handle back then. So they should be able to handle this. The demographics have been changing over the years, but they've had decades to deal with this situation. This is not a criminal law enforcement situation. This is a humanitarian asylum situation, and asylum is not a crime.
Interesting, isn't it? So there is Jen Budd, who was a senior Border Patrol agent back in the day when they only had 5,000, 6,000 Border Patrol agents, and they were apprehending 1.5 million people a year. Isn't that something? And they were able to do that. And now you've got 20,000 Border Patrol agents, although 9,500 of them are very busy posting on Facebook all kinds of sexist, misogynist, violent memes and, saying, oh, so what, somebody dies, who cares? And, now we have 6 dead children, where in the previous 10 years we had no dead children. And we have one dead 30-year-old man who we still don't know what the cause of death was in their custody. And she's saying when they only had 6,000 agents, they were able to do much more than it seems like the 20,000 strong force does with less immigrants. Isn't that special? Well, here's Jen Budd explaining to you that why she's not surprised at the sadism, at the cruelty, and at the abject, cover-up by Border Patrol for Border Patrol, because she remembers when she was at Border Patrol.
I'm not surprised at all. This has been the way the Border Patrol has been run since probably before even I was an agent. There's a reason why only 5% of agents are females, and it's not contrary to what the chief says. It's not because the work is very difficult. Women can handle it just fine. It's because a lot of them are sexually assaulted and harassed in the agency, and it starts in the academy, and it's the type of environment and the atmosphere that the Border Patrol condones and allows to continue and has for decades.
So those writings that ProPublica sources to current officials, they strike you as how typical of what you saw and experienced, both, shall we say, online or also offline in conversation and in your work?
They're very typical. I would say that if you're in the agency yourself, then it's much worse. Female agents, it's not unheard of to be raped and assaulted by their classmates in the academy like I was.
Great.
And you're not allowed to report this or else you will lose your job. You're not allowed to file a complaint or else you will lose your job, because they have to investigate and so forth. And the people that commit these atrocities and write these things or say these things, they continue on. And everybody knows about it. It's the dirty little secrets of the Border Patrol. And every time one of their agents does something like this, or somebody discovers a secret page or website or whatever, the management always says, well, this is just not like us. We're honorable. We only want the most honorable people. But yet it keeps happening over and over and over again.
And we've told you over and over again how many Border Patrol agents actually get arrested, how many Border Patrol agents actually can't take polygraph tests and pass them. There is a culture there, just like in the military, okay? There is a culture there that allows people, to abuse whoever they want, to be sadists, to rape women, to threaten immigrants, to threaten their colleagues, to threaten other Border Patrol agents of the female variety. And there will never be an investigation because, A, if you complain, you will be fired. And B, if an investigation happens, everyone will cover it up. Everyone will lie. That's Jen Budd. And she says it starts at the academy, and they teach them racial slurs to dehumanize the migrants, even though 52% of Border Patrol are Hispanic. And they know this, so in order to get them to hurt and treat people maliciously or treat people with abject disrespect or treat people, with cruelty, they start them at the academy calling derogatory names teaching them how to address immigrants by derogatory names.
If we're trying to talk about how, like you said, how it affects how you enforce, you have to remember that 52% of the force is Latino. And a lot of people ask me, how do they get Latino people then to behave this way against people who are of their own heritage and their own culture? And it's because in the academy, they mandate and they teach the agents to use racist terms for migrants so that they see these people as other and that they are not like them. And it's not uncommon, it's very frequent for Border Patrol agents to arrest women coming across the border and then set up dates afterwards with them on the south side.
Great.
It's not uncommon for many sexual assaults to be filed against agents. And so I think definitely it does have an effect. It's condoned. And when it happens and if somebody complains, everybody groups together, specifically more the male side, and they protect each other and they push everything out. And they stay quiet, and that's how it works.
Yeah. And any woman who's ever served in uniform, she's telling the truth. She's explaining exactly your experience. Exactly what she's talking about. The culture. The cover-up. The crimes. Everything that happens, and there is no place to go. And we went through this with you. It's on my Twitter feed. All the stats and everything about the CBP agents, how they lose so many agents to polygraph tests because they can't pass them, because they are criminals, because they are predisposed to violence, because they are outliers in society. And then they're looking for some sort of a stable job, and they get recruited into these military, or they get recruited into the CBP, or they get recruited into ICE, and they can't pass polygraph tests because they are indeed criminals. And the question here is, should these people have a badge? Should these people have a weapon? And should they ever be near children?
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Here's a little clip of a doctor who works at Assunciation House, which takes in the migrants after they get out of Border Patrol's custody and tries to administer, medical aid, but can't. Because you know what the Border Patrol also does to these children, also does to these young parents? They take all their medication, they take all their belongings away. They take their diapers away, they take whatever they've brought with them away, including medication, including inhalers, including blood pressure medicines, including insulin, whatever they need that they've brought with them. And the doctor that supposedly treats them while they're in custody refuses to keep a record of the medications that they need or the medications that they gave or what the condition. And so when they're sent over to some of these charitable places that take them in, the doctors there have no earthly idea what the situation with that person is. So here's one of the doctors, his name is Carlos Gutierrez, describing, what he has seen.
When the refugees are taken into custody and placed in the detention centers, individuals who have been on medicine, hypertension medicine, diabetes medicine, asthma medicine, they take their medicines away and they're not given back to them. So when they arrive to us, the parents tell us, hey, my child was on this, or the parent says I was on this. Well, we don't know what the heck they were on. and it's just not right. That's not the way to practice good medicine. But what makes me more upset is that because we doctors who have been willing to offer our services to enter the Border Patrol detention facilities to provide proper care to these individuals. We are not allowed, and whoever is providing the medical care to these individuals, and I really do it is. Some people say they're contracted to some agency, and half the time I don't even think they get any care. However, when they are released to us at the shelter, we have no idea what has gone on in the shelter with those individuals, because their argument is that they want to respect the privacy of the refugee. And so no contact is allowed between whoever's providing medical care in the centers and us on the outside. That is piss poor medical care. That is not medical care. That's malpractice.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And more people who have been able to see things are saying things. Remember, see something, say something? Yeah, well, more people are doing that. That's why we salute former senior Border Patrol agent Jen Budd, who put her face on the TV. That's why we look at, doctors like Dr. Carlos Gutierrez over there, or we look at Dr. Garcia, or Dr. Lisa Rodriguez, who has treated patients who haven't received basic human needs in the facilities, who are putting their faces on the TV, who are testifying to what they've seen. And you know what else is really interesting? 6 to 7 weeks ago, Annunciation House, which is a big, not-for-profit charity that takes in these migrants after they're released from Border Patrol custody, after days and maybe weeks and maybe even months of neglect and of drinking out of toilets and of filth and smallpox infested blankets like we used to kill people with, right? Because that was a tactic. So he says he sees, he said 6 to 7 weeks ago they were getting between 600 and 1,000 migrants a day. And now it's about 100 a day, and sometimes it's less. And this is a quote from the person who runs Annunciation House, Ruben Garcia. He said, quote, "I keep hearing that CBP facilities are overwhelmed. We're not seeing that because they're taking in less and less people. And there is no reason to think that they are overwhelmed." Now, I will tell you, in 2014, the doctors had access to the government facilities, and the doctors said that they were always clean and they were well managed, but that CBP, Border Patrol, has told them it's not their current policy, and so that they can't get in there. These doctors who are willing to volunteer their time to take care, and most of them are pediatricians, who are willing to volunteer their time to take care of these children, they're not allowed in there this time. But they were always allowed in there prior to Trump. And Dr. Gutierrez said, I don't think they get any care. The doctors have no idea what kind of treatment they have had. The agencies that he doesn't know who the doctors are, if they're contract employees or what. He said that the lack of continuity of care is, and you heard his quote there, piss poor medical care. Dr. Blanca Garcia, she described seeing a boy about 2 months ago with a high fever who had to be hospitalized. And she said, how could anybody miss that this child was so sick? How could they not have noticed when you have so many people in custody? It's easy to miss something like that. Is that the excuse? And she said she also treated a woman who had a baby who was telling the doctor after she was released from the freezer that no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't keep her child warm. And all her child had was a onesie and a plastic blanket that she was given. Now, of course, when they arrive, they have stuff for their babies. They have onesies and they have diapers and they have, clothes. But it's all taken away from them. So all she was given, all she had to work with was the onesie the baby was actually currently wearing and a plastic blanket. And the doctor that finally saw her when she was released said, despite her best efforts, her little newborn's fingers and toes were still blue. She said, I see this often. This is a basic example, a very simple case of not receiving basic human needs, access to water and warmth. This is why children should not be in detention centers. Now, of course, the facilities are calling all these doctors liars. Quote, our facilities are secured locations where the employees and contractors are thoroughly vetted before they are allowed to interact with anyone in our custody. We have U.S. Department of Homeland Security personnel and contracted medical staff. Now, you tell me, you're a doctor. You could work at a hospital, you could have private practice, you could join a group, you could do concierge medicine. Oh, no, you're going to contract with the Department of Homeland Security. You're going to contract with Border Patrol? Really? We have contracted medical staff at several locations throughout our sector who perform initial screenings and provide medical treatment when required. When required. These doctors say, let us in. Let us in. Let us treat these people. They're putting cold, wet people in refrigerated settings with 24/7 lights, overcrowding, filthy blankets, and no soap. What do you think's going to happen?
The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
We ask over and over and over again. I've been interviewed by multiple news agencies, and that is my biggest beef. Let us in there. We have the doctors that are willing to go in there the way we did in 2014. Let us in there. We could, there's no one better than us to take care of these men, women, and children. We have the contacts of other specialists if we need those specialists. They don't. And to this day, we are not allowed any contact with whoever's providing the medical care over there. And that's just not, it's very upsetting. And I hope to God that this changes quickly. I understand that a judge in California made a ruling recently that will allow us physicians to go into the detention centers. And I hope that happens very soon.
This is amazing. You have so many people that are willing to do so much for all these, people who obviously need help. Okay, they would not have taken these dangerous trips. They would not have, put their lives in jeopardy if they didn't have a credible fear of being killed or having their children killed in their home countries. And you have doctors, you have, volunteer lawyers, you have, staff people at Annunciation House, you have social workers, you have case managers, you have a ton of people who are willing to volunteer or willing to show up, who are willing to do the work of taking care of these families, and they're not allowed in. Now, you have to ask yourself, if the government has nothing to hide, why is it hiding everything? If what the Border Patrol, the acting director of this, and the acting director of that, and the acting director of Homeland Security, and the acting, if first of all, if these people could get Senate confirmation, why haven't they? And two, if they knew what they were doing, and things like this would not be occurring. And three, why are they hiding everything that they're doing and then debating and Fox News sitting there calling everyone who has witnessed what's going on down there liars? Why? Why do you have to call people who are obviously of good heart, good soul, good skills, good brains, seriously committed to taking care of? Why do you have to call them the liars when you know damn well that the Border Patrol agents that you've recruited can't pass a lie detector test, that 250 of them have gone on to be arrested themselves, that with 5,000 Border Patrol agents, we were able to do 1.5 million apprehensions, and here you can't do 114,000 with 20,000 Border Patrol agents, and maybe because half of them are so busy typing on Facebook their hatred for others. It's a culture. It's a culture of cruelty and sadism. And this president loves it. He calls those people patriots. He keeps doing it. Worships dictators and calls the people who are abusing children, calls the people who are abusing women, patriots. What do you expect? The president is a rapist. What do you expect him to do? Don't expect him to do anything other than this, because this is what he's capable of and nothing more. Nothing greater. Teresa in Illinois.
Hi, Randy.
Hi.
First, I want to say I love you and I love your staff. And a shout out to Roy.
Yeah, we're a great guy.
Okay, I know. I just wanted to say I've worked in healthcare as a respiratory therapist for 36 years, sharing the blankets and, the nasty conditions that are going on. They will get a disease and die. And they're just, listening to you now, it's like they're killing them slowly, cell by cell. I mean, it's worse than just like stabbing somebody where it's over and quick. I'll hang up, but I also wanted to say a shout out to my friends on Facebook on the chat. Can't get on there, guys. Hey, guys. Okay, thank you, Randy.
Okay. Natalie in North Carolina.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Natalie. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, I wanted to address the thing with Kamala Harris and these people saying she's not black enough and all this other stuff. I mean, back in the bad old days when we had all the slavery things going on, they had this one drop rule saying that anyone who was related to anyone from Sub-Saharan Africa or whatever, that they had one drop. So anybody black, anybody, even the whitest white, Native American, it didn't matter what race they came from, they had one drop of black blood, they were black.
Right.
So for them, so my thing is, if somebody's going to sit there and say that Kamala Harris is black enough, my thing is tell them in their face, one drop rule.
Well, here's what they're. I hear you. I get it. It's a ridiculous thing that they got going on that fake news channel. I mean, and it is completely fake. But the idea that they're going to say she's not an African American because her dad is from Jamaica. Let me tell you something. The African slaves were dropped off in the Caribbean too. And so she is very likely African, okay? And then she was born in America. So that makes her an African American. Just because they emigrated from Jamaica does not take away ancestry, okay?
Exactly.
So,
and it doesn't take away from
but their audience, Natalie, their audience is so willing to hate people based on anything, and they feed them this little morsel to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
It's sick.
Yeah. And that was going to be my point, too, about the Jamaicans and people from the Caribbean. They were also slaves, too. So, you made my point perfectly.
Right.
But it's just ridiculous.
And the only place in the Caribbean, the only island nation that actually fought off slavery early is Haiti.
Exactly.
Right, and people, Haitians are too black. Listen, they are just racist, and there's no other word that will do.
Yes.
So.
Yep, exactly.
Well, thanks for calling me. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good Fourth.
You too.
Don't turn on the TV. Okay. Mary in Washington.
Hi, Randy.
Hi.
I have an idea, and it's way out there. But I live here, and Jay Inslee is our governor, but he's also trying to become the nominee. And I'm going to contact his campaign and see if he can get a lot of legislators and a lot of volunteers together and get some buses, and we go in there to each one of those centers, and we just force our way in and lead those people out onto those buses with volunteers ready to take those people into their homes.
Yeah, I've thought of that. I really want to do it too,
Why not? We should be calling these campaigns and say, be a hero. What are they going to do? If there are like 100 people at the door, they can't kill them.
No, they will.
They have to.
Of course they can kill us. Of course they can, and they will. Yeah, they will.
No, they can't.
They will.
We have to have some. We have to have people that aren't going to be afraid. We need to go in there, and we need to get those people out.
I know what you mean. I feel it too. But there's just, there is no way that we wouldn't get shot at. I mean, these guys have guns. They do. They're armed. And they would shoot us. I mean, you look at Congress members, they won't even let them in. You know, I mean, they're wearing body cameras to try and film inside. You know, the idea that the people that are working there are enabling this, that they are literally separating the families, that they are physically doing it, taking a child from a mother, that they are terrorizing communities, that they are responsible for enforcing these policies that are killing people. You know, we have to work on them. We have to get them to sit down on the job. We have to get them to walk out. We have to get them to have a reckoning with their own conscience.
No, but
we have to get them to walk away because they are the gatekeepers, and they will kill us. They will shoot us. There's no question that they would. Donna in D.C.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
Oh, okay, so I've talked to you a million times before. I'm the travel agent.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, and I'm in D.C., and let me tell you something. First off, they're shutting down the airport for 2 hours, National Airport tomorrow.
Yeah, what's the
weather?
weather?
You know what a nightmare that is for travel agents?
I do.
You know,
but
so
what's the weather? I'm just hoping that there's this massive thunderstorm, that God looks down on this ridiculous, despotic, display and says, you know what, thunder, lightning, ground. I would love
feel bad for the good people that want to see the regular
I do
4th of
too,
July.
but you know what? Thunder, lightning, no Blue Angels, no torturing of the military, no flyovers, no nothing. Just everybody all together now, all together. Pray for a big thunder boomer over Washington, D.C. tomorrow. You know, the donors aren't going to get their hair wet. So that's the only thing I could think of.